Now that I've got my letters other than the I animating, let's take a look at what we can do with the I. So to make the I act a little bit quirky, let's start by having it come in a little bit later than the other letters. Maybe once the Q, U, and the I, Q, U, R, and K are in place, the I will start to come in. And actually, it might be fun to have the dot be separate from the base of the I. So let's get into the symbol. I'm double clicking and I'm inside the symbol now. I'm going to just select the dot of the I, and by hitting the F8 key, I'm going to turn it into its own symbol. We'll call it dot. And let's go ahead and make it a movie clip just to be on the safe side. And then I'm going to actually delete it from the I symbol and go back out to my scene, and you can see that the I is missing. So let's start by having the I off the stage, and let's say it's going to come in kind of frantic because it feels like it's late, and have it zip around and then come up here, nuzzle itself in, push them aside, and then maybe the I will bounce in. Okay, so the first thing it's going to do is start to dash in. I've got my keyframe. Let's pick a time. Let's say here, and this is just arbitrary. Let's have it zip in over here. And then you can see that it's moving very quickly because the dots in between are quite fast. And then we want it to pause there for a moment while it thinks. So I'm going to come a little further, and I'm just going to use the right left arrow so that it moves a little bit, which will set a motion keyframe so that it will sit still. So it zips in, sits there, and now we're going to have it zip maybe over here. And then we want it to sit there for a very short period of time. And then we'll have it kind of sneak up to here. Whoops, I forgot to set my new keyframe out here. Zip over. And maybe now it's going to start to, let's have it sit there for just a really brief second. And then we're going to have it start to try and inch its way up. So I'm going to almost do this as a frame by frame. I'm going to have it go upward, and then in the next frame maybe nudge the R. So let's say it goes that way, and at that point I might want to have the R also move. So I'm going to go ahead and hit F6, which will give my R a keyframe. And at that point I will take my R, and I want to reset my registration point so that it's going to tip it that way. So let's say it tips it, and then as it's tipping it, let's see how that's looking. So it zips in. Oh, see what happened? It tipped it too soon. So we don't want it tipped there, we want it tipped there. Let's go back to this keyframe of the R. Ah, that's probably what's wrong. I'm tipping the wrong letter. Okay, at that keyframe of the R, we want it to be normal. And sometimes it's hard to get those to move with your dragging, so I'm going to open the transform palette, and you can see that it's rotated minus 7.5, so I'm going to change that back to 0. Let's see if it remembers. Let's see, at F6 here, that's why I didn't get it before. I put the F6 on the U. That wouldn't work, would it? All right, so I'm going to tip it again a little bit. Have the I at that point be nudging it. Sometimes with all the menus you can't really even see it. So it nudges it, and then let's go to the next keyframe for the I, where it's nudged the R, and have it move up a little bit. And perhaps we can have the R at that point, which is another keyframe, start to straighten out, but straighten out so that it's moving to the right. So another keyframe for the R. I keep wanting to put it on the U. All right, another keyframe for the R, and let's grab that registration point. I'll move it over to the bottom and have it rock back. And have our eye. So let's see what we've got so far. All right, so it's knocked it too far, and we want it to settle back down and then also to stay. So we're going to add more time too for all of those. F5. And you can see that this is really just a matter of getting in there and tweaking it in back and forth and changing it so that we're going to end up with something that looks like the eye is squeezing its way in. I'm going to pause it for a second, and then I'll come back in when I want to add the eye.